From the archives of the United States Cavalry, the true stories of Colonel Ranald Mackenzie and the cavalrymen he led. Mackenzie's Raiders. His secret orders from the President of the United States. Clean up the Southwest. Make it a fit place for Americans to live. Wipe out the renegades, outlaws, and murderers. If necessary, cross the Rio Grande, knowing capture means hanging by the enemy. Discovery, court-martial by the United States Army. May 1875, the rugged country bordering Fort Clark. Though many Indians had found peace on the reservations, there were those who worked and planned for a return to the days of violence. Only the presence of Colonel Mackenzie and his 4th Cavalry kept this violence in check. But one Indian, Yellow Wolf, had a plan to destroy this peace. And along with it, Mackenzie's hope to educate the Indian to a better way of life.
You've ridden beyond the limits of the reservation, Yellow Wolf. You got a reason?
The Indians may no longer ride over the land of their forefathers.
You know the regulation?
Yes. And what are we to do on the reservation? Move stones from one place to another? Dig holes one day and fill them up the next?
It's your own fault. You didn't do anything to better yourself when you had the chance. Now, if you'd been willing to accept an education, go away to school like Joe Topanga, well...
Joe Topanga. While his people grovel, he buries himself in books.
I know how you feel about Joe trying to better himself. So I'm warning you, Yellow Wolf. If you make any trouble for Joe when he comes home, any at all, you'll regret it. Understand? The Colonel will make it his business to see that you do.
We will make no trouble for him, Sergeant. We will not need to.
What do you mean?
I mean that you people will do it for us. As soon as Joe returns with his new education and with his new clothes and seeks to find a place for himself in your world.
Aided and encouraged by Colonel Mackenzie, Joseph Topanga was the first member of his tribe to receive an education.
Well, I'll be doggone. An engine in an iron hat. Oh, now I've seen everything.
Please, will you tell Colonel Mackenzie that Mr. Joseph Topanga would like to see him?
Mr., huh? Mr. Topanga. Sure, I'll tell him. The old man always likes a good joke. Hey, wait a minute. Where are you going? The old man's in that way.
Yeah, what's going on out here? Who is this, sir?
No one, sir. I mean, nothing, sir.
Well, it's Joe Topanga. Joe, you're looking great. I couldn't be happier to see you. Come on in. Come on, I want to hear all about what's happened to you. I want to speak to you later, Corporal.
That's about it, Colonel. It was a wonderful experience.
You made a great record, Joe. I've had nothing but glowing reports from the school.
It was your doing, Colonel. Your letters, they were a constant encouragement to me.
Nonsense, nonsense. Well, how long are you going to be here with us? A few weeks at least, I hope.
How long? Well, this is my home, Colonel. These are my people. I'm staying here.
That's what I hoped you'd say, Joe. Your people need you here. They need men of their own race to lead the way, to set them an example, to show them how to adjust to a different society. Not gonna be easy, though. You're gonna run into a lot of prejudice, Joe. You might even have trouble finding the kind of job you want.
But I thought, well, I mean, I hope that you would...
Uh-huh. Well, I do have a few small civilian jobs under my jurisdiction. Nothing important, of course. Anything at the executive level is handled by my officers.
But it doesn't have to be anything important, sir. Just anything at all to give me
Joe. Joe, listen to me.
Of course, Colonel.
The jobs that I do have are already filled by married men with families. Those men are doing a good job. There's no reason to fire them now. Until circumstances change, Joe.
It's all right, sir. I know you'd give me a job if you could.
We'll find something for you, Joe. Perhaps at the Indian Agency. Believe me, Joe, your success is as important to me as it is to you.
I know.
You're gonna find, Joe, that there are lots of people, some of them in high places, that don't believe in Indian education, that are against anyone who's fought for it, as I have. So if you should get discouraged, if you should...
Well, I won't, sir. I'd never let you down.
All right. Let's go over and see Mr. Fleming at the Indian office. We may be able to settle this thing right now.
Fine man our old friend has become.
His learning will be worthless to him here, and his fine clothes also. Soon he will pick berries in his hat and forget that he ever wore it.
Tell me, Topanga, did you learn in your school how to get back what these soldiers have taken from us?
All right, Joe Topanga. Let's go in and see Mr. Fleming. Yellow Wolf, let me say one thing. Don't buy trouble you'll regret.
Mighty glad to have you with us, Topanga. I'm a great believer in education myself. Nothing like good education, I always say. Of course, can't take the place of practical experience. But when you put the two together, it... Well, young fella?
Oh, Mr. Fleming, I'm glad you feel the way you do. About getting an education, I mean. Now, what...
Now you've had all the hot air you want to listen to. You need some grub and a place to flop. Is that it? Well, you go over and tell the man at the commissary...
Mr. Fleming, what I really want is a job.
Oh, want to pick up some pocket money, huh? Well, all right. There's plenty of little chores around here you can do. You know, I like this young fella, Colonel. Most of these Indians are too lazy to draw their own breath.
Joe, why don't you step outside for a minute while I talk to Mr. Fleming?
Maybe I'd better do that.
He's a strange one, ain't he? Acts like I rubbed him the wrong way.
Mr. Fleming, Joe Topanga is an educated young man. He got that education in order to qualify himself for more important jobs. Not just being a chore boy for pocket money. He wants the kind of thing that you or I might have been interested in at his age.
But he's an Indian. He wouldn't be interested in the same things we are.
Why wouldn't he? Joe Topanga is qualified for the kind of jobs that you have available. And as an Indian agent, you're the logical man to give him one. Will you do it?
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know about that, Colonel. It just don't seem quite right somehow. Suppose you let me think on it till morning, Colonel.
All right, why don't you do that? And please remember that Joe Topanga represents only one phase of a very big problem. More schooling for Indians depends largely on how he makes out.
Well, I'll drop in at your office tomorrow morning, Colonel. Got some business to take care of in town anyway.
I'd like very much to borrow some of your new books, Mr. Topanga. Do you happen to have one?
Angie!
Just a minute, Dad.
This minute. Get inside right now. said I'd think it over, and I have thought it over. Educated Injun means nothing but trouble.
Just because he was courteous to your daughter?
That's got nothing to do with it. Just made me feel more the same way I always did.
You're his last chance, Mr. Fleming.
He gets nothing from me. No more than I'd give any other Injun.
All right. I think you're making a mistake.
If I am, I'll pay for it.
Yes, you probably will, Mr. Fleming. You probably will.
Now we can use him.
Yellow Wolf had shrewdly guessed that the answer to his plan was Joseph Topanga's mounting frustration. Now that Topanga had rebelled, Yellow Wolf proceeded to put his plan into action.
What are you doing here? What's the meaning of this?
We came to demand the right to work our own ground. We want our own plots of land to grow our own food. There are no decent jobs here for us.
Get out of here, all of you.
If you will not give us land, then give us money. Open the iron box.
Why, you thieving skunk.
You didn't want land. Only the money. And you killed him for it.
You are as guilty as I. At least in her eyes you are. She was at the window. Now you can open the iron box. Well, when Mackenzie returns, he will find another dead man here. You, a murderer, killed by my honest friends and I when you tried to escape.
I can't. I wouldn't if I could, but I can't.
What now, Yellow Wolf? How are we supposed to survive without money?
We will make raids into this country, as other outlaw bands have done. Come.
And I am to go with you, I suppose.
If you refuse, you will hang. The girl will be back with soldiers. Are you coming to Topanga?
Angie, come on, cheer up. Now then. Now listen to me, Angie. It's not as bad as you think. I'm sure it's not as bad as you think. Why don't you go with the corporal, huh? You go with him and he'll show you a place where you can lie down and rest, and I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. Now try not to worry, huh? Let's go. Good girl now. Sergeant, come here.
Yes, sir.
Have the doctor meet me at the gates in 5 minutes.
Yes, sir.
And Sergeant, alert the raiders to stand by.
Yes, sir. Raider, stand by. Raiders, stand by. Stand by, Raider.
And you're sure Joe Topanga was with Yellow Wolf?
I am. I'm not positive, but I think Joe Topanga tried to stop Yellow Wolf. I don't quite know how to say this, Colonel, but I feel responsible. This might not have happened if I'd been willing to help Joe.
Ah, but he's an Indian, remember? I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. That wasn't fair.
That's more than fair. I deserve more than that. I want to tell you something, Colonel, about why I treated Joe the way I did, why I was so touchy about my daughter. It was kind of a cover-up, a denial of something. I'm part Indian myself.
I suspected as much, Mr. Fleming. You were ashamed of it. You were afraid it would hold you back.
Didn't need to be that way at all. Something to be proud of. Well, if being an Indian can make you act the way Joe Topanga did...
Only one thing can make you act like that. Being a man. Well, I'll keep in touch with you, Mr. Fleming.
Oh, Colonel Mackenzie.
Angie.
About Joe. Will he be all right?
I can't promise, Angie. Joe's a fugitive now. He's a member of a criminal band.
But he's not like the others. He couldn't do anything wrong.
Perhaps not. But the men with him have and will again. Joe's going to be under great pressure to do the same.
Oh, I do hope you can help him, Colonel. You see, I like Joe very much.
Let's just hope that Joe hasn't put himself beyond help. Anyway, Angie, I promise you I'll do everything I can.
You, relieve Chaparro at guard. Get more wood for the fire.
I'm wondering something, Yellow Wolf. If these men are such good friends of yours, why do you boss them around so much? Why don't you ever do any work yourself?
I do work. Much harder than they. Constantly I'm thinking. Planning for all of us. You will realize this once we get across the river.
They would be no worse off if you planned against them. You've made them into hunted men. Unable to live here in their own country.
I've put them on the path of riches and a life of ease. Meanwhile, I've led them to safety.
What makes you so sure they are safe? How do you know Mackenzie won't follow you here?
You'd best give up, Topanga. You cannot make trouble between me and my friends. Once we get across the river, we will be safe forever from Mackenzie.
Mackenzie and 5 men, less than a mile away.
We ought to make a run for it. To the river, that would be good.
We will find a better place to fight. Come.
They've eaten, it would appear. Probably rested, too. That means they can go a long time before they have to stop again.
Wonder why they didn't stand and make a fight, sir. They had good cover for an ambush.
I hope it's because Joe is urging them to run, hoping they won't fire on us.
What if he helps them escape?
No. He's helping us in the only way he knows how. All right, let's push on.
We make a stand. We run no more. We will fight. But you said we would be safe once we cross the river. We will fight.
Is this not a good position to defend ourselves?
We would only be killed. We should go back and face the wrong we did.
You coward, you whining papoose. We should give you some pap to eat.
You will not surrender, then we must run.
You have us run not to save ourselves, but to protect your friend, Mackenzie.
You lie. What I do is for the good of all.
You are no better than the soldiers who follow us. You will die.
Just nicked you. You're gonna be all right.
Yes, sir. Thanks to Joe Topanga.
What do you mean?
He saved my life. I swear he did.
He'll be killed if we don't get him out of there. If that happens, we can forget any plans we have for educating more Indians. You rest easy here. Hold your fire, Sergeant. Joe Topanga's pinned down right in our line of fire.
I was trying to pick off Yellow Wolf, sir.
We can't do it with Joe where he is. You and the rest of the men take out those Indians. I'll take care of Yellow Wolf myself.
Yes, sir.
Easy, Joe. Take it easy. Oh, there you are. You're all right? Yes, Carl. Yes.
You don't have anything to worry about, Joe. Just take my word for it. Things are all right. And they're going to be even better. Come on, let's go.
Will you tell Colonel Mackenzie that Mr. Topanga is here?
Sure, Joe. Go right on in. The colonel's expecting it.
Thank you.
Hello, Joe Topanga. It's good to see you. How does it feel to be a man of responsibility?
It feels good, sir.
I'm sure it does. I understand we have an engagement for dinner with Angie Fleming and her father.
Yes, sir.
Joe, take good care of this one. It's a proper hat for Mr. Fleming's new assistant.
Thank you, Colonel.
Shall we go?
Mackenzie's raiders rode again and again, carrying out the secret orders of the President of the United States. Do whatever necessary to clean up the Southwest, make it a decent place for people to live. Ride with Mackenzie's raiders as they relive the blazing pages of history in the making. From the archives of the United States Cavalry, the true stories of Colonel Ranald Mackenzie and the cavalrymen he led. Mackenzie's Raiders. His secret orders from the President of the United States. Clean up the Southwest. Make it a fit place for Americans to live. Wipe out the renegades, outlaws, and murderers. If necessary, cross the Rio Grande, knowing capture means hanging by the enemy. Discovery, court-martial by the United States Army. August 9th, 1874, Southwest Texas caught in the grip of a devastating drought. A dry land in a dry season, without water, without the promise of any.
Isn't there something we can do to persuade them to stay, Colonel?
Yes, Lieutenant. Get them water. Somehow find them some water.
Colonel Mackenzie and his 4th Cavalry had fought hard to make the area safe for settlers. But without water, he would soon be protecting a wasteland. One source of water, fed by an underground river, could solve the plight of the cattlemen. But the water was owned by Edward Bodine, and it was to him the hard-pressed cattleman came. His term spelled war.
Whitfield's riding up.
Whitfield? Stay, Turley.
This is the big one, isn't it, Mr. Bodine?
The big one. Come in.
Hello, Ed. It's been a long time.
Whitfield, what brings you here?
Well, me and the other cattlemen from Twin Forks. We're out of water.
You representing them?
Well, sorta. No sense in all of us coming up here to talk about the same thing.
Twin Forks. The richest spreads in the territory. How does it feel coming to one who hasn't made it?
Ed, you and I came out here together 20 years ago. I never stood in your way. Got a little luckier, perhaps.
Until now. Well, you've talked to the others. You know my terms.
And it is true. Even to me, Ed. To a man who's been your best friend, who introduced you to your wife.
Aren't you thinking of yourself right now, not the others, just yourself? Well, I'm doing the same thing, thinking of me, not you.
You switch the words any way you please, Ed. I'm thinking of one thing. Water for my cattle. How far are you going to go to get back what you lost?
Get to your point, Whitfield.
We need water. We'll gladly pay you a reasonable fee.
Half the head that waters on my land. You don't like my terms, don't waste my time.
I'll not see my herd die of thirst.
You don't have to. Sell out to me.
Sell out? Well, you failed all the way down the line. Don't try to cut me off. You know what I mean. Shutting out the world is one thing. Do you think I'd sell out to you or anybody else? I've been here 20 years come December. I'll be here another 20 if I have to ride over you and your men to get to that water.
Is that what the rest of your group is saying?
I told you. I represent them.
You're not meeting my terms.
Never.
Then you better get going. This is private property.
I'll see you dead before I see another head of my herd drop.
Swenson's come to terms. Make sure you count his herd good. Pick the best heads. And Turley, if anyone tries to get to that water, anyone, you tell the men to shoot.
Lieutenant. Lieutenant, did you follow up on this?
Yes, sir. Effective immediately, each man's water ration is down to 1.5 pints a day and 1 pan per barracks.
Right. Cut the men on patrol, too.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and show in, Mr. Whitfield.
Yes, sir. Mr. Whitfield?
Morning, Colonel.
Hello, Sam. Good of you to come.
Thank you.
Sit down. Well, Sam, how's your water supply holding up?
It isn't. We're all dry. What are you going to do about Ed Bodine?
I don't know. I was in hopes you could talk some sense into him.
I saw him yesterday. I'm just another cattleman who needs water.
Even you, huh?
He wants half the herd. I told him we'd give him a reasonable fee. I won't ask him again.
Now, wait a minute, Sam.
You wait a minute, Colonel. Look, I've listened to you. I've done my bit to keep the cattlemen in this area.
I know you have, Sam. I know you have. And I appreciate it.
Well, that isn't getting water from my herd.
Now, Sam, if you break the law, you know what my position has got to be.
You'd turn on your friends, huh?
You leave me no choice. One shot, and I'd have a range war on my hands. And that I'm not going to have.
In the meantime, I watch my herd die while Bodine has the protection of the law. No thanks, Colonel. I've got some ideas of my own. I'm not going to let 20 years slide away just because a man forgets the meaning of the word friend.
Now, wait a minute, Sam. I'll go out and talk to Bodine myself right now.
Talking won't do any good. Bodine knows how desperate we are. Why, we even tried to tap that underground river, which is off of his property.
Underground river?
Everybody knows that river forks in 2 directions. One feeds his property. The other goes underground, east of his spread. We couldn't tap it because it's covered with shale.
And it's not on his property. Underground river, huh? Sam, please. Let me talk to Bodine just this once before you do anything.
All right. You got it coming.
Thank you, Sam.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks again, Sam. Yeah. A new explosive called dynamite with 50 times the power of black powder will be delivered to all commands within 30 days. It's dated July 2nd, and it's now August 9th.
It hasn't arrived yet. It may be on the next supply wagon from Fort Inge on the 12th.
Can't wait that long. Dynamite may be exactly what I need to end this drought.
Dynamite?
Yeah, I saw a demonstration of it once. It's tricky stuff.
It should be at Fort Inge by now.
Send a buckboard to Fort Inge. Forced ride. Have the men tell the general there that it's an emergency. I need that dynamite immediately.
Yes, sir.
I'll be over at Bodine's place.
Dynamite?
How do you feel, Ed?
How should I feel?
I'm not sure.
I don't know what brings you here, Colonel, but I'm glad it saved me a ride. I want to discuss a little problem with you.
Oh? I thought you were the only man in this area that didn't have a problem.
Well, I try to take care of them before they happen. Sit down. I'm afraid Whitfield and his group might try to take the law into their own hands.
Oh, what makes you think that?
Well, the way he talked yesterday afternoon.
Ed, you know as well as I do, you're asking for it.
Colonel, you run the law, I'll run my business.
I'm asking you to change your terms, Ed.
Now, that sounds like a threat.
Ed, what's gotten into you? What is it? Letting the settlers use that water of yours won't cost you a cent.
It's as plain as the sun up in the sky. It's my chance to build a cattle empire, and it might not come again.
Seems to me we had a drought a few years back. The settlers used your water then.
I was a fool.
But you had friends.
I don't need friends.
Ed, you think building an empire is going to bring her back? Now get this into your head. She stayed with you a long time after you went sour and started hating everyone for your own failures. Taking it out on the settlers now, building an empire. That's not going to come close to bringing her back to you.
You've said enough, Mackenzie.
No, I haven't. Ed, the settlers in this area are going to have that water. And within the confines of the law.
Well, you just go and find that law.
I don't have to.
Mr. Whitfield's waiting for you, sir.
Any luck?
Nope.
So long, Colonel.
Now, Sam, you two have been friends for 20 years.
That ended just now.
Sam, you go after Bodine. I'll be alongside him.
I'd hate to see that.
Then why don't you go back to your ranch and wait?
What for? Just to hear those cattle moan for water?
Sam, you've got a big stake in this area. You break the law and it'll all come tumbling down around you.
And if I don't? Same thing happens.
Read that.
So?
Did you see the special uses it can be put to?
So what? Someday they find a newfangled way to tap water.
Not someday, Sam. Not someday. Today, I intend to end this drought with dynamite.
Can you guarantee it'll work?
Let's wait and see.
Sorry, Colonel. My cattle are thirsty.
Sam, just 24 hours. Give me your word you won't do anything for just 24 hours.
I'll see you 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Lieutenant.
Yes, sir.
The men left for Fort Inge?
2 hours ago.
Get Sergeant Wells in here right away.
Yes, sir.
You know about the drought situation. It's already caused several settlers to leave this area. Your orders, Sergeant, are to prevent any further settlers from leaving.
The settlers, sir?
Yes, Sergeant, the settlers.
But, sir...
I know, Lieutenant, I know. Could mean my command, but I've got to risk it. At least until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Well, how far do I go, sir?
Just as far as you have to. Use raiders wherever possible, Sergeant. Impress on them the reasons for these extreme measures. Also impress on them the necessity for these orders being strictly enforced.
How many men, sir?
As many as you need. I want all routes of departure sealed off. There's another danger. War. A range war. If there isn't water by 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, the cattlemen will start moving in on Bodine. So I want the bigger ones confined to their own property. The bigger ones like Sam Whitfield.
Yes, sir.
Mackenzie's raiders moved quickly to prevent the settlers from leaving the area. The crisis grew as the raiders moved in to protect Bodine's water and property. But the raiders hadn't moved fast enough to contain the cattlemen.
Well, the secrecy, Sam. The others coming? Yeah, they'll be here. It's about water and the way we're going to get it.
Once Mackenzie had briefed his men on the new explosive, they climbed the mountain above Bodine's property to locate the water source. The ranchers of Twin Forks would have water or war. Which they would choose depended upon Mackenzie's ability to tap the underground river which fed Bodine's pond.
All right, men. Let's start digging. Let me know when you hit shale. One of you start over there. 7-foot intervals. Here, 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 and here. Let's go.
It'll take us a month to hit water with these picks.
We don't have to go that far. Only as far as the shale. Then we'll prepare holes for the dynamite. 5 explosions ought to be enough to release the water. If it flows down this way, it'll come in well east of Bodine's property.
Where will it empty to, sir?
The Twin Forks, I hope. Couldn't be a better place. All right, men. Keep digging. Don't let up till you hit the shale.
Colonel Mackenzie. Whitfield hasn't been in his ranch since he left your office.
What about the others?
I still have the men checking. There's 6 ranchers missing besides Whitfield.
All right, have your troopers drop everything. Keep looking for those men. They've got to organize somewhere. Get going.
But Whitfield gave you 24 hours.
He did, and he'll keep his word. But when the 24 hours are up, he'll be ready to move. If that dynamite was at 40-inch, our men ought to be on their way with it by now.
I sent our best riders.
See if you can pick them up on the trail. Bring the dynamite directly here.
Yes, sir.
So I gave him my word. 24 hours.
But, Sam, even if Mackenzie's explosive doesn't work, why do you think Bodine hired Turley and those others? Because they're men who are paid to use their guns.
But if we get Bodine, they'll have no argument with us.
Might not work out that way. It could mean a range war.
Maybe. But it's not our choice. We've got to do something ourselves. Mackenzie's already made it clear where he stands. Either we do it, or we sit and wait for our cattle to die. Mackenzie's got very little time left.
Shale. This one's ready for dynamite. Whatever gets here. Keep working.
Eight o'clock. Plenty of time to get into position. In exactly 3 hours and 1 minute, we'll come upon Bodine's from the rear. Anyone try to stop us? Use these.
Keep working, men. What can I do for you, Mr. Bodine?
I want to know what you're doing up here.
Not your property, is it?
This is where my water comes from. I got a right to know. I don't know what you're doing to this mountain, but I'm warning you. You got no right to fool with my water supply.
I'm fooling with a mountain. You don't own that, do you?
What are you trying to prove?
Nothing. But these people in this area are going to have water, and within the limits of the law.
Colonel, you're bluffing. There's no way in the world to get to that water source.
Maybe there is. With the use of a new explosive called dynamite.
Dynamite? Never heard of it. Where is it?
It'll be here.
Well, you just go right ahead with your games. I'm not budging an inch.
I'm not asking you to. But if this works, Ed, you're really gonna know how it feels to be alone.
You'd be much better off worrying about Whitfield. If he comes this way, you're gonna have your hands full protecting me.
The others ready?
Yep.
Tell them to move up slowly. Stay on the edge of Bodine's property.
Sure, we can surprise him. None of us are looking forward to a gun battle.
It might have to be that way. 20 minutes. I'll get as close to that house as I can.
Colonel?
There he is.
Colonel? Dynamite.
Midnight, somebody.
New way to make rain.
Now it's up to the inventor. Light them all at once. Ready?
Go ahead, Turley. If you're smart, you'll back away. This is between Bodine and me.
You better think twice, Sam. I haven't broken any laws.
You've broken more laws than any man I've ever known.
I've never killed. That's what you're about to do.
What about your wife? Your bitterness gnawed away at her until she had to take your kid and leave. Then you started on yourself until every breathing moment was filled with hate. Now you're trying to spread your disease throughout the whole area, not caring if your friends go under or if people you don't even know die of thirst. And you say you haven't killed.
Why shouldn't I take advantage? Nobody ever helped me.
You got it wrong. You never let anybody help. You were too busy with your spite of other people's success to even see a friend or the woman who loved you.
So this is the way we end up.
Killing you won't hurt the world a bit. You already threw the world away.
Sam, water. It's not on Bodine's property.
I don't know whether it means anything to you, but you saved my life. I guess I owe you a favor.
I guess you do at that. And I think I'd like to collect on it, too.
What can I do for you or for anybody else?
There's a stage leaving for the east tomorrow. Be on it. You've got a wife and a child back there. And I'll bet they're waiting for you.
I hope so.
Colonel, I want to thank you. I came mighty close to doing a foolish thing.
No thanks necessary, Sam. When you're making your prayers, though, you might just thank the Lord that nobody was killed.
Yeah, I will. I guess we don't have to worry about Bodine anymore.
Well, I'm not too sure. He's on his way back to Kansas City. I should imagine he and his family will be coming back out here and trying to make a fresh start. I'd like you to give him a break, Sam.
Me? Give the... Oh,
no, wait a minute, Sam. Wait a minute. You know, you came awfully close to being a killer yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. All right, Colonel, I'll try. That's all I ask.
Thanks again, Sam.
Mackenzie's raiders rode again and again, carrying out the secret orders of the President of the United States. Do whatever necessary to clean up the Southwest. Make it a decent place for people to live. Ride with Mackenzie's raiders as they relive the blazing pages of history in the making. From the archives of the United States Cavalry, the true stories of Colonel Ranald Mackenzie and the cavalrymen he led. Mackenzie's Raiders. His secret orders from the President of the United States. Clean up the Southwest. Make it a fit place for Americans to live. Wipe out the renegades, outlaws, and murderers. If necessary, cross the Rio Grande, knowing capture means hanging by the enemy. Discovery, court-martial by the United States Army. Southwest Texas, week of June 25th, 1876. A courier, a forced ride, and news of a massacre in the Powder River country of Montana. News which was to have vital significance for Colonel Mackenzie and his 4th Cavalry.
Your horse still alive, Ed?
Just about.
50 miles in 14 hours. Must be a tough animal.
Hard as a nut and twice as mean.
Know what you've been carrying?
No, the dispatcher just said ride like a scared jackrabbit.
General Custer and 264 men were wiped out at Little Bighorn 2 days ago.
Little Bighorn? That's Sioux country. Crazy Horse's outfit. You can be sure of that.
Not a man was left alive when General Custer's support arrived.
Sir, Mr. Kiley's outside, said he must see you.
Very well, Sergeant. Show him in. Oh, don't go, Ed. Kiley's the Indian agent out here.
Colonel, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were busy.
Oh, that's all right, Mr. Kiley. This is Ed Geary, former scout, now riding dispatch for us.
There's something funny going on out to my place. I don't know what's got into those Indians, but nothing you can put your finger on, but you can feel it.
Maybe this will explain it.
264 men massacred. But how do my Indians know? Little Bighorn, well, that's over 900 miles from here.
They know.
That's impossible.
What's your opinion, Ed?
I can't explain it. I've seen this kind of thing happen before. I'd say every Injun's walking just a mite bit taller today.
What are we going to do?
Act natural for the moment. See what develops. I'd suggest, Mr. Kiley, that you get back to the reservation. Your presence there will help make things seem normal.
All right, Colonel. I'll head right back.
I'll be in touch with you. Sergeant.
Blackhawk's on Colley's reservation, didn't he?
That's right.
And Little Wolf, too?
That's right.
They're fighting chiefs, not agency Indians. This might be just the chance they've been waiting for.
Yeah. Hope you're wrong, Ed. Sergeant, put this in the order of the day book. All flags of this command will be flown at half-mast for the period from June 29th to July 4th, in commemoration of the 264 men who so valiantly gave their lives at the Little Bighorn, June 25th, 1876. Get that into effect immediately, please, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
What do you think, Ed? Has our Black Hawk got it in his heart to try to become another Crazy Horse?
Morning, June 28th. A supervised hunting party from the reservation. In the party, Black Hawk, who waited patiently for the right moment.
Missed. Well, that was your last shot for the day. What a waste of ammunition. Whoever figured out this system sure was no hunter. Blackhawk, here, it's your turn. Ah, that last shot scared all the game away from here. Come on.
Our brother Crazy Horse has put courage back in our hearts. Mackenzie will soon share the fate of the soldier called Custer.
not be any trouble, Captain Fitch, but I want continuous patrols in the vicinity of the reservation, just in case, for the next couple of days.
What about Black Hawk, Colonel?
I wish I knew about Black Hawk. He's got everything it takes: ability, courage, hatred. The only thing he lacks is followers. With the news of Custer's defeat, they'll probably come flocking to him.
With a squad of good men, sir, I could ride right through Black Hawk and his whole Comanche nation.
Could you indeed, Captain Fitch?
Yes, sir. We'll teach those savages a lesson they'll not soon forget.
You're new out here, Captain, and you'd have more respect.
Respect, sir?
For Black Hawk. He stands as the equal of any cavalry commander you'll ever see. And the Comanche are probably the world's finest light cavalry. I'd like to see anybody ride through them. You better get those patrols organized. A squad of good men.
The young fella stands a pretty good chance of having his brains parted by a tommyhawk.
He's new out here. He's never been in Indian territory before. He'll learn.
Do you think Black Hawk will turn hostile?
I wish I knew. I'll try and find out. Oh, if you've a mind to help, you can scout those foothills for me. You know what to look for. Get some rest first.
Mackenzie rode to the Indian reservation, unaware that Black Hawk and his warriors had already struck.
He was out with a hunting detail from the reservation.
Do you know who was with him?
Trooper Ellis. He's probably...
No, I mean, do you know what Indians were in the party?
Oh. It's all right, soldier. You'll be all right.
Was it Black Hawk, soldier? Where did it happen?
The slope of the wolves.
Those murdering savages. Sergeant! Order out a patrol. Full fighting gear. I'll move out at once.
Yes, sir. You're going after Black Hawk?
That's right.
You're no match for him.
Well, the colonel's gone. I'm in command, Mr. Gary, and I'll decide. Black Hawk will pay.
Hustle me up a fresh mount, will you, Sergeant? A fast one. I've got some news that won't keep.
Right away, Mr. Gary.
Slopes of the wolves ahead.
Let's get him! Black Hawk's trap was classic, and an unsuspecting Captain Fitch and his patrol pursued the Indian decoys, unaware of their danger.
Young soldier chief is mine.
Hey, Gilo.
Blackhawk jumped your hunting detail. Fitz is taking a patrol out after him.
Kylie told me they were overdue. Where'd it happen?
Slopes of the Wolves.
Let's get over there. Had a chance.
Like dropping a cat into a pit of bulldogs.
Black Hawk decoyed him up here, and then he poured down on him from both sides.
Yeah, it figures.
Courage, Ed. Courage without respect for the Comanche.
Preserve the peace, make the territory safe. Such were Mackenzie's orders from his commander-in-chief. To do so, Mackenzie needed the boldest plan of his career, a strategy which risked everything to stop the renegade Black Hawk.
I think I ought to notify Washington immediately, Colonel.
I share your concern, Mr. Kiley. After all, I should. 5 of my men dead, a 6th fighting for his life.
Black Hawk and his cutthroats still on the loose out there. Unless he's caught, Colonel, I stand a good chance of losing every able-bodied Indian I've got on the reservation.
He will be caught, I promise you that, Mr. Kiley.
When and how? Why, he's more at home out there on those hills than the animals.
Mr. Kiley, Black Hawk never surrendered to us. We chased him for years. Finally, he gave himself up. Sickness and starvation accomplished what we never could.
How on the earth do you expect to take him now?
Crazy Horse holds the answer to that.
But I don't understand.
Crazy Horse is the war chief of the Sioux. Black Hawk is the war chief of the Comanche. Crazy Horse wiped out Custer. Now, what would you do if you wanted to help Crazy Horse and the whole Indian nation, and at the same time recover some of the lost Comanche glory? Sergeant?
Yes, sir?
Have Ed Gary get over here on the double.
Yes, sir.
Please excuse me, sir. I have work to do.
Good day, Colonel.
Ed, tell me something. What do you think is troubling Black Hawk the most right now?
You? How to get you dead?
And after that?
Well, he'd probably enjoy making a bonfire out of this fort.
Why don't we give him a chance?
What's that mean?
I want Black Hawk to think that the entire 4th Cavalry has been ordered up north by General Crook to help bottle up Crazy Horse.
He'd never believe that.
He would if we really left.
Hold on a minute. You mean you'd empty the fort?
Yes.
With Black Hawk out there? Excuse me for saying it, Colonel, but they'll bust you down to muleteer if anything goes wrong.
I know that. Can you get word to him?
I'd like to see you get 300 men out of here without him knowing it.
I want him to know it before we leave, just so he can keep an eye on us.
This better work. Good luck.
Sergeant.
The word was passed for the raiders. If Black Hawk were to be stopped, it would take the best of Mackenzie's command, the raiders.
raiders. Report immediately. Raider alert immediately. Finish that split.
With the exception of ourselves, the entire garrison is leaving Fort Clark at dawn. If my guess is right, Black Hawk will hit us sometime late tomorrow afternoon. You men have been picked to stop him. Now, as you know, no Comanche in war paint has ever been inside Fort Clark. Well, let's let them in just this once. It's up to you men to see that they never leave. Now, they'll probably be wary. They'll want to approach the fort without being seen. That means they'll come on foot. Good. As I see it, the key to fighting the Comanche is to get him off his horse. Any questions?
Sir, do we know Black Hawk's strength?
Probably no more than 15 or 20 men, in spite of the fact that he's been picking up followers ever since he bolted the reservation.
Why can't we go out after him, sir?
Corporal, we've lost a lot of men going out after him. I thought this time we'd let him come to us. Very well, Sergeant.
That's all, men.
Oh, Sergeant. Lieutenant Sullivan is about my build. Ask him to drop by my quarters, please. I've got a uniform that'll fit him.
A uniform, sir?
Yes. If my plans work out, Black Hawk is going to have some trouble distinguishing between Colonel Mackenzie and Lieutenant Sullivan. That's all, Sergeant. Clothes fit you very well, Lieutenant. Please take my mount. Ride northeast to Wellington. Don't turn the regiment until sundown. I think you can relax, Sergeant. If I know Black Hawk, he won't show up until he's sure the regiment's really moved out.
Less than half-hour daylight left, sir. It's just possible that Black Hawk won't show.
Sergeant. It's Gary.
They're out there, all right.
You're in for a fight if you stay around, Ed.
That's why I came back.
All right, pick yourself a spot. Let them get into the fort before you shoot.
don't see a thing, sir.
When you don't see him, Sergeant, is when you're looking right at him. Signal the others. Thanks, Ed.
Well, Colonel, I think our little plan worked out just fine. I've got my reservation in order, and you still got a fort. Very audacious, but I'm for audacity every time. I'll mention the good work you two men have done in my report to Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Kiley. Thank you very much, and good day, sir.
And good day.
I've never run into troopers who fought the way your boys just have.
You've seen a lot of fighting, Ed. What do you mean?
Well, I counted them lots of times. I know there was only 6 out there, but it seemed like 20.
Yeah, they're good men. By the way, do you know what the date is next Tuesday?
Tuesday?
It's the 4th of July. A very important 4th.
How so?
4th of July, 1876. That means we've had 100 years of independence. I guess it just goes to show that the first 100 years are the toughest.
Mackenzie's raiders rode again and again, carrying out the secret orders of the President of the United States. Do whatever necessary to clean up the Southwest. Make it a decent place for people to live. Ride with Mackenzie's raiders as they relive the blazing pages of history in the making. From the archives of the United States Cavalry, the true stories of Colonel Ranald Mackenzie and the cavalrymen he led. Mackenzie's Raiders. His secret orders from the President of the United States. Clean up the Southwest. Make it a fit place for Americans to live. Wipe out the renegades, outlaws, and murderers. If necessary, cross the Rio Grande, knowing capture means hanging by the enemy. Discovery, court-martial by the United States Army. West Texas, November 1875. A frontier where death waited for the unwary. Time after time, Mackenzie's patrols had been left sprawled on the earth, victims of the informer. But now, Trooper Colin Grimes, informer and deserter, could run no more. Could not reach the safety of Apache country.
No, Matthews, not yet.
Oh, he's not only a deserter, he's a murderer as well. No. I want Grimes alive. Deploy. Let's surround him.
Come on out, Grimes. You haven't got a chance.
You ain't gonna hang me, Colonel. You'll have to shoot me.
Work around into a position where you can shoot under those horses. Try and spook the team. Tie him up. You are going to hang Trooper Grimes.
Colonel! You were right, sir. There's 5 boxes of these in the wagon. Ammunition, too.
Theft, desertion, murder. You'll hang Trooper Grimes. I promise you, you'll hang. Come in.
The earthly possessions of Private Matthews, sir.
"8 years of soldiering, Sergeant. I was just trying to finish a letter to his wife.
When you're finished, explain it to me, sir.
Explain what, Sergeant?
Well, it's one thing to lose your life fighting Indians and renegades, but to lose it this way.
I know. Trooper Matthews lost his life in the worst possible way. To a companion in arms who's turned deserter, traitor.
There should be something worse than hanging for Grimes to face.
Maybe there is, Sergeant. Maybe there is. Has Lieutenant Peterman talked to Grimes yet?
Yes, sir. And from what I hear, he's not too happy about having to defend him at the court-martial.
I can't say that I blame him. Has Grimes admitted where he was taking those weapons?
Nothing except that you won't hang him.
Well, he may lose a little of that arrogance when he faces the court-martial.
And he'll lose a mite more when he faces the gallows.
Anytime they send me after a deserter, he'll be brought back slung over his saddle.
I don't think the colonel wouldn't have liked it better that way, as far as Grimes is concerned.
Well, one reason I'm glad I'm no officer. That rule book keeps getting in the way.
Stanfield, remember the time in '71 when Santana raided over on the Red River?
Do I? It seemed like the Kiowas were backed up clear to the Oklahoma Territory.
Why didn't you lose a brother in that campaign?
That's just what I'm getting at. On account of one yellowback scissor bill, Jody and 4 others got killed.
Did you ever catch him?
I caught him.
That was one deserter who never became a settler. Something the colonel said. This thing about branding a deserter.
It's his corpse they ought to brand.
You know, it's a mighty fearful thing to look where you expect to see another soldier, and instead there's a dozen Indians.
Hope I never live to see that.
Chances are if you do, you won't for long.
Thing about Grimes, on top of everything, he stole those rifles.
Wonder who was going to sell them to.
Ryan here had had his way, we'd never known.
That's for positive sure.
Could be the colonel knew what he was doing, taking him alive.
Please. Attention. Mr. Colin Grimes, you have been found guilty by a duly authorized court-martial of 3 counts, any one of which warrants the sentence of death. It is now my responsibility to impose sentence. As commanding officer of this fort, on this day, sentence to be carried out within the confines of this fort between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, I hereby condemn you to hang by the neck until you are dead. And may God have mercy on your soul. Take him away.
He what? He escaped, sir.
How?
He made it look like he hanged himself, and the guard went in to cut him down.
I want you and 4 troopers ready to leave in 10 minutes. The last time we caught him, he was headed toward the border. I assume he'll go the same way this time.
I understand, sir. Myself and 4 men.
Get going.
Morning, old man.
Nobody'd be coon enough to live way out of here but me.
Stole some of your grub in this coat. You aim to do something about it?
Well, I ain't that coony. Besides, the coat's important.
Thought you said you was alone.
He's dead. Apaches jumped him. Did you ever see anybody jump by Apaches?
Once or twice.
It ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. You got to be careful what you're doing in this country. The Apaches liable to jump out from nowheres. You traveling alone?
You sure can whistle downwind.
My mind, there's only three kind of men that'd be traveling in a country like this alone. And that's a prospector, a fool, somebody that's on the prod. And you're on the prod.
And you be careful, old man.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I knowed it. Soldier, huh? They're after you. What'd you do? Steal something? Maybe kill somebody.
Old man, you just lost.
Well, no, it ain't no doing my part, because they're after you. You didn't give no thought to mine, no.
You wouldn't be thinking of going to Fort Clark now, would you?
Well, like I said, it's none of my business.
Not even for their $20 reward, or didn't you know they gave rewards?
Well, how'd I know such a thing? Go on, take the coat, take the grub, take anything. I can't do you no harm.
You sure can.
Let the horses breathe a minute.
We've made good time, Colonel. I just hope we're on the right trail.
He's not far ahead.
Do you think we can catch him before he gets to the river?
I don't know, but I intend to catch him. I made him a promise, and I'm going to keep it. Cavalry insignia. Let's go.
I'm on the way across the Rio. Away, 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 across the Rio Grande. Move, mules, move, Arabi.
Heading for the river. I'll bet on it.
The morning of November 14th, 1875. For 10 hours, Colonel Mackenzie and his raiders had followed the trail of the renegade trooper. Now, deep in Mexico, their quarry still eluding them, they doggedly continued on.
He's heading right into Cayetero Apache country.
Diablito.
He certainly seems to know where he's going.
No man in his right mind would go on Diablito's territory, not alone.
Unless he thought he was safe.
Only a man that had something that cutthroat wanted. Then he couldn't be sure that he wouldn't steal it from him and take his scalp in the bargain.
How about those 5 cases of repeater rifles locked up at Fort Clark?
You mean Grimes stole them for Diablito? But like you say, they're locked up at the fort.
Maybe Grimes thinks he can get them out.
How?
Well, he's leaving a trail any green trooper could trace. He knows I'm in Mexico illegally. He knows I'm following him. That information alone could be worth quite a ransom. Or a blackmail. Mount up.
Mount up!
Diablito is my friend. You take me to him. He'll want to see me. It's important.
Sergeant, if we'll go on from here on foot, we'll make less noise that way. Leave one of the men here with the horses. Although if my hunch is right, our presence here won't be much of a surprise to Diablito. Nevertheless, have all the men carry knives. Let's hope we see them before they see us. We'll move as soon as you're ready.
Swanson, you stay here with the horses.
Even if it does not work, it will give me pleasure. It's been some time since we were entertained by the White Eyes.
Well, it'll work, Diablito. That's why I come this way when I seen Mackenzie was following me.
You must truly hate these men.
I like gold. No, I couldn't bring you them rifles, but this way you'll get them and I'll get what I want too.
Perhaps you will get killed.
Well, after you capture Mackenzie, you're gonna need me to go to Fort Clark for them rifles.
I mean killed by the soldiers. And tell me, how can you go back to the fort? Will not the soldiers there arrest you?
Oh, not when they know I'm the one that can deliver Mackenzie to them.
You mean Mackenzie's body?
Yeah, I mean his body. Now all we gotta do is wait. Mackenzie will follow my tracks right into the ambush.
all right, sir. It's just an arm wound.
Here, get some cover. You sure Diabolito's dead, but where's Grimes?
Don't take a chance, sir. Kill him.
No. I said I was going to take him alive. Where's Grimes?
It's behind that boulder, sir. He quit firing.
Yeah? Maybe he's out of ammunition. Or perhaps his weapon's jammed. Cover me.
Sir.
Grimes.
You can't take me back. How are you going to explain catching me in Mexico? They'll break you, Mackenzie.
What's he talking about, Colonel?
Seemed to me he said something about being in Mexico.
Mexico? Why, we're in the Guadalupes in the middle of Texas. I think his mind's going. He probably ran so hard he forgot which way he was going.
Let's get back to the fort, Sergeant.
Mount up. You got a date with a rope.
Thank you for coming by, Chaplain. I'm glad it's all over.
Believe me, so am I.
It's all over for Grimes. It's all over for Trooper Matthews. And if Diabolito had gotten those weapons, it would have been all over for a lot of other people.
Colonel, I'm not questioning your orders.
I know you're not. It's just that an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
But wait a minute. You can't understand unless you complete the quotation. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord.
I understand. And I accept. But I don't have to like it.
Yours isn't an easy job.
Sometimes it isn't. Believe me, Chaplain, sometimes it isn't.
Good night, Reynold.
Good night, Chaplain. Thanks again.
Mackenzie's raiders rode again and again, carrying out the secret orders of the President of the United States. Do whatever necessary to clean up the Southwest. Make it a decent place for people to live. Ride with Mackenzie's raiders as they relive the blazing pages of history in the making.